Once upon a time, in a small village surrounded by green mountains, there lived a poor but kind-hearted farmer named Edgar. He had only a leaking hut, a thin field full of stones, and a heart that never complained about fate. He had no wife or children, living alone in hardship and loneliness. That early spring, Edgar saw a skinny boy at the market being whipped by a human trafficker. The boy's eyes were large and bright, holding no tears, only a stubborn flame. Edgar used his only half-sack of grain to exchange for the boy. The boy said he had no name, so Edgar named him Banta, meaning a gift. He placed his hand gently on the boy's head and said, "You are not a commodity. You are a gift from heaven to me." And so, Bante moved into Edgar's small hut. He worked tirelessly chopping wood, carrying water, plowing the fields before dawn. He spoke little, but everything he did was done better than anyone else. Edgar felt sorry for him, and often said, "Child, take a rest." But Bante would shake his head, grin, and say, "Dad, I'm not tired." Yes, from the very first day, Bante called Edgar Dad. He had already taken Edgar as his father. In spring, Bante carried the heavy wooden plow and cut straight furrows into the hard soil. His feet blistered, his shoulders bled, but he never stopped. Edgar wept with heartache, but Bante would wipe his tears and softly say, "Dad, when you can eat white flour buns, I won't feel tired anymore." In summer, the blazing sun scorched the earth. Bante panted heavily, his coarse shirt soaked with sweat, yet he kept moving step by step. Edgar placed his straw hat on Bante's head, but Bante would take it off and put it back on Edgar. "Dad, you're darker than me." Year after year passed. Because of Bante's diligence, Edgar's land became soft and fertile, and the crops grew taller than anyone else's. The wheat was heavy with grain, and the vegetables were lush and green. Soon, Edgar had enough produce to sell at the market. He repaired his roof, bought new clothes, and even helped the village's orphans buy books and bread. Every evening, Edgar would sit in the yard, mending Bante's worn clothes. As he threaded the needle, he would say, "Bante, do you know, without you, I would still be that poor farmer who couldn't even fill his stomach. You are my best son and my greatest benefactor." Bante would sit beside him, splitting firewood one piece at a time, simply smiling, his eyes curved like a crescent moon. But in this world, no one can defeat time. Bante's black hair turned gray, his straight back bent slightly, and his knees ached every time it was cloudy leftover pain from soaking in icy water in his youth. One day, as usual, he carried his hoe into the field, but when he reached the center, his legs gave way, and he collapsed to his knees. Edgar was terrified. He dropped his bucket and ran over. He saw Bante clenching his teeth, trying to stand, failing again and again. His eyes were filled with guilt, as if saying, "Dad, I'm sorry, I can't work anymore." That night, Edgar did not sleep. Sitting by the fire, he repeatedly looked through Bante's old clothes from his youth. He remembered how thin Bante had been when he first arrived, like a monkey. He remembered his figure under the blazing sun. Never complaining, he said to himself, "He has given me all his strength for a lifetime. Now, it's time for me to give him freedom." The next morning, before dawn broke, Edgar led Bante past the village bridge, through a birch forest, all the way to the edge of a quiet town. There stood an old wooden house with a yard. In front of it ran a clear stream, surrounded by blooming flowers. Edgar had secretly bought it with years of savings. Edgar placed a copper key into Bante's hand, his voice trembling. "Bante, you have worked hard for me your whole life. From today on, you no longer need to farm or sweat. This house is yours. Stay as long as you want. If you're hungry, buy the best food in town. If you're thirsty, drink the sweetest mountain spring. You are free." Bante froze. Clutching the key, his lips trembled. Finally, like a child, he burst into tears. "Dad, I won't go. If I leave, who will carry water for you? Who will chop wood?" Edgar held him tightly, tears streaming down his face. "Foolish child, you taught me how to grow the best crops. Do you think I'll starve? Go live your own life. You can come back to see me any time. I will always be at home." Bantai knelt in front of the wooden house and kowtowed 3 times to Edgar. Then he stood up and walked step by step toward his unfamiliar new home. Every few steps, he turned back to look. Edgar stood still, waving, until that slightly bent figure disappeared into the morning mist. The wind carried away his whisper. "Come back to see me. Anytime." Anytime. Bante lived a peaceful life in the small town. He learned to fish, to weave bamboo baskets, and occasionally helped neighbors repair their roofs. Life was simple and free until one autumn evening. That day, Bante was collecting firewood on a mountain road. As darkness quickly fell, he saw an abandoned mountain shrine and decided to stay there for the night. What he didn't know was that the shrine had been occupied by a group of bandits. Their leader was a burly man called Mountain Tiger, and among his men was a thin, sly fellow nicknamed Fox. Fox had already spotted Bante from the shadows. He ran to report to Mountain Tiger. "Boss, there's an old man carrying a sack entering the shrine. Looks like AS got something valuable." Mountain Tiger was delighted and immediately led his men toward the shrine. Bante had just laid out some dry grass when he heard heavy footsteps approaching. Peeking through a crack in the wall, he saw 7 or 8 shadowy figures surrounding the place with knives and clubs. His heart pounded, and his legs instinctively wanted to run. But he took a deep breath and told himself, "I can't run. I'm old. I can't fight them. I must use my brain." Closing his eyes, within seconds, a bold plan formed in his mind. Clearing his throat, he lowered his voice and roared toward the door in a deep, commanding tone, imitating a mountain god. "Why are there so few people? I've been starving all day. The one you sent yesterday was too skinny, not even enough to fill my teeth. Today you must bring at least 10. Go." Mountain Tiger stepped back in fear. Trembling, he whispered to Fox, What is living inside this shrine?" Fox was also frightened, but quickly composed himself. "Don't worry, boss. It's just an old man pretending to be something." Mountain Tiger was uncertain. Fox suggested, "Let's tie our belts together so no one can run. We'll go in together and see." Mountain Tiger agreed. 7 or 8 of them tied their belts together and slowly approached the shrine. Hearing them again, Bante peeked through the crack and saw everything clearly. Not only did he not panic, but once again lowering his voice, this time more furious, he shouted, "Fox, you useless thing! I told you to bring 10 people. Why have you brought so few? Are you trying to starve me? Go out now and bring more, or I'll eat you first." Hearing this, Mountain Tiger completely lost his nerve. He thought, so Fox is the servant of this monster. He promised to bring 10 people. That means all of us are offerings. Fear gave him explosive strength. He turned around and ran, dragging Fox with him. The others were pulled along, tumbling down the hillside, their screams echoing through the forest. Bunty stood at the entrance of the shrine, watching them disappear in panic. He brushed the dust off his clothes and smiled, his eyes curved like a crescent moon, just like when he was by Edgar's side as a child. 3 days later, Edgar carried 2 baskets of vegetables to town. Passing by the shrine, he saw Bante leaning against the wall, basking in the sun. He froze, then ran over like a child, crying as he embraced him. "Why are you here? I thought something had happened to you." Bante smiled and told him everything. Edgar listened, laughing and crying at the same time. He patted Bante's shoulder and said, "Bante, you are not only loyal and kind, you are smarter than any bandit. You have taught me that in times of trouble, calmness and wisdom are stronger than fists." This story tells us, loyalty will be remembered, gratitude will be rewarded, and true strength never lies in muscles or claws, but in a clear mind in the face of fear, and in wisdom that refuses to give up in desperate situations. No matter how great the difficulty you face, pause for 3 seconds, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, like Bante, what can my mind do for me? Dear friend, if you were moved by the story of Edgar and Bante, if you have ever solved a problem with wisdom, please share your story in the comments. Do you have a friend as loyal and clever as Bante, or have you ever had a moment of winning without fighting? I will read every comment carefully. Thank you for reading. May your life always be accompanied by loyalty and illuminated by wisdom.